Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Authority Marketing Live. I'm Melanie Hirschhorn, the book marketing strategist for nonfiction and children's book authors. And today is a very special episode because I don't have just any old author joining us. I have a fellow book marketing expert joining. And Stephanie Moon is based in the Bay Area, and she is going to shine her light and illuminate so many of the things that people think about book marketing. But then when they meet with somebody like us, they go, oh, that's what it's all about. So we're going to be getting real about all things book marketing today. Stephanie, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
You. So good to have you today because you and I are like, you and I don't believe in competition. We believe in collaboration and we support each other, and it's really, really special. So I just wanted to give you that shout out, first of all.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell us who you love to help in terms of marketing their books?
Love it. So I am a book marketing strategist, very similar to Melanie, I love to work on cookbooks, and I'm working on a few really good ones right now. I love to work on lifestyle, personal growth, business, kids books. Those are kind of like my main areas of focus.
I love it. Okay, so let's talk about cookbooks. Do you love cooking or eating or both?
I love both. And been like a super avid cookbook collector. My husband loves to cook. We actually read, actually use the cookbook. Like it's not just like a piece of decor. And so working on cookbooks is so fun because for content creators who are usually like cookbook authors, right? The cookbook is kind of like one piece that kind of gets them a lot of visibility and also kind of in some ways like legitimizes them like to the outside world.
So well, first of all, what's your favorite kind of food to cook?
Ooh, good one. I love probably mostly either Asian or like California style since I'm in California. Love the fresh produce angle. I actually am deathly afraid of cooking fish. So my husband has to do all the fish because I have this one memory of like being in my first apartment and trying to make a piece of poached fish, except for I don't know what I did wrong. It was maybe like a frozen piece of fish. It smelled at my entire apartment. I had to like eat one bite and throw it out. It was like very traumatizing. So since then I've only baked salmon, which is like fine, but there's like, more ways to eat fish than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was your other question?
Oh, well, just about, your favorite foods to cook. And you mentioned Asian. So that kind of runs the gamut. Is there a specific Asian country that you like to cook?
My husband is Korean, so he makes really great Korean food. I would say since I'm Chinese, I mostly make Chinese food.
Which in China, they just call food.
Which is exactly just food.
Just food. Which I have been to China and I loved all the food, but I had to eat like the, American breakfast because I couldn't, like the idea of like rice in the morning just didn't sit well with me. So how is it, what are some of the things that you can do with a cookbook to make it really stand out from other cookbooks?
Oh my gosh, such a good question. I mean, I think like with any other book, right? It's knowing who your audience is, knowing where you're positioned in the market. How is your book different, right? So for example, if you have a dessert cookbook, how is it different than every other dessert cookbook out there? And it's like being familiar with the market, being familiar with what your community wants, being familiar with what you really bring to the table that's different than everybody else, and talking about that difference.
Yes. Listen to Steph. She knows. You have to tell people, right? If you don't tell people, they're not going to know.
And you have to tell people more than once. And so this is, I think, a huge piece of the puzzle is that I think I have seen a lot of authors say like, oh, I've like marketed my book. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, what have you done? And they're like, oh, I made like one post. I did like an email. I put it on my website. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. That's like a start though, because even though all those things are great, it needs to be done repeatedly, not just one time, right? And that repeatedness, that consistency is, I think, what trips authors up a lot, because it's like in their mind, they feel like I've done this
Check.
already. Check. And then also they don't like love, sometimes authors can feel like they don't love to do self-promotion, but that's what talking about your book is, right? You got to like talk about all this work you did, because cookbooks especially take tons of time to do. You have to research, you have to write the recipe, you have to test the recipe, usually many times, do photography for it. So that's a lot of work. And if you're putting in like literally hours and hours of work for this book, if you talk about it like 3 times on your social channels, whatever they are, or your emails, like, is that enough? Like, do you feel like that really was a good concerted effort to get your book out there after you spent probably hundreds of hours working on it?
And yeah, it's the time, it's the effort, it's the money. Because if you don't have a traditionally published cookbook, then you're putting out the money to have it published. So I am guilty of only owning cookbooks for vanity's sake, because I'm not good at cooking. I can make really adequate spaghetti though. Maybe. I'm really good with the microwave. So, but when somebody, they have it in them to buy a cook, or not buy, sorry, you could tell I only buy them. I wouldn't write one. When somebody has it in them, they are called to create a cookbook, to share their personal recipes with the world. What advice do you have for them when inevitably they say, because it will happen, what really makes me different? Why is my rigatoni different from everyone else's rigatoni? It's still rigatoni.
Yeah, love that question. So I think it's, well, why did you want to share your story, right? Because somebody is probably not wanting to write a cookbook just out of the blue. They've either loved cooking, there's a story behind it, it's about their heritage or their family, right? And then also, no one can explain the way you make the rigatoni the same way you would, right? So in movies, they talk about like, there's no new ideas. It's just like, what's your spin on it, right? And that's kind of like what a cookbook is. I would say there's very few cookbooks that are completely original, but it's like, what is each author's spin on it? And so is it that you use gluten-free pasta, you make the sauce and freeze it so it's super easy, you are using your Italian grandmother's like family recipe, kind of like, what is that really special thing, right? And I would also say too, because there's no like new ideas, it's also can feel very familiar for somebody. So it's like, most likely people at home make some sort of pasta or rigatoni, right? So then they're already familiar with that. So what are you doing like value add that makes them want to do yours? And it's your spin, right? It's your secret ingredient. It's your process. It's your little special thing.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Okay. So now I was thinking we could do something. I don't know if you're a Bravo fan of any of the Bravo.
I don't watch that much Bravo, but I have been wanting to watch this last season with Jenna Lyons. I have not watched any.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I love her. Okay. Sidebar. So you know how Andy Cohen has his Watch What Happens Live, and they do all these games and stuff. So I was thinking, and I'm just totally springing this on you right now, but I thought we could do kind of like popcorn style. I'm going to throw out a topic and then we just give suggestions. So, but I'm not going to time us, because then we're going to have too much pressure. And this is a low pressure environment. Plus it's Friday. So who wants pressure on Friday? So I was thinking we could both answer, and our answers are probably going to be the same because we're so aligned. So let's try to come up with mistakes authors make. Go. When it comes to book marketing, of course. Go.
not talking about your book enough, and also not making it easy for somebody to buy your book. There has been so many times where I have seen an author or oh, excuse me, found them on the internet, and then I try to find like the title of their book or where to buy it, and it's hidden,
Mm.
hidden. And that's one. And the second one is also not talking about your book even after it's come out. People like really focus on the pre-order,
Yes.
pre-publication part, which is like great, but also the launch of your book or when your book is actually available is actually like the birth of your book. You got like years to go, right?
100% takes a village to raise a baby. So
Yes.
I'm going to add in one, and then we'll do one and then one and then one. Okay. So I'm going to add not bothering to get any reviews for your book is a mistake, because that builds credibility.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, Steph, but I would not buy a book if it didn't have any reviews. I'd be like, nope, next.
Yep.
So
And I
getting
agree.
real book reviews is an important one. Okay, your turn. Mistakes that authors make.
Oh, more mistakes. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're still going here.
We're still going on the mistakes. I think also being shy about telling people you wrote a book, because I think you kind of like never know who somebody knows or what they do or what they like or what their partner does or what their mom does. And I think like only telling people who you feel like could help you is like a mistake. You want to just tell everybody because you want to, especially for something like a cookbook, you never know what people want to cook, like to cook, what people are interested in. And it's kind of like, you don't know how they're going to make these connections in their minds later. And I feel like that's how you create like a groundswell of momentum.
Yay. Okay. Awesome. That was fun. Okay. Now we can relax. No more pop quizzes here. So what has been a memorable moment for you with clients' success? Because I know you and I are so similar that we just get so proud when our clients see a success. So share a fun story of success that was totally because of your genius in the background.
I definitely think the first one that comes is like it felt like such a celebration, and I didn't know until the end after I was not working with the person. So one kind of thing that I have people do is post on their socials like 30 times in 30 days, kind of just like get in the habit, right? Start posting stuff. Every post is not viral. Every post is not going to be your best post. It's just practicing, right? Especially when you have a small audience. And so I had this one client do it, and she was like, had kind of been on social and kind of been here and there, but you couldn't really see her personality. And afterwards, she told me, after we were done working together, she's like, Stephanie, when I was doing those like 30 posts in 30 days, it was kind of a pain, but then I got used to it. It became a habit. She said, I had the most fun. And she said, I had the most engagement on my socials because I was actually there trying to show up, trying to tell people why I had wrote this book. So her book was about her late husband. It was part photography. It was a very like personal book for her. So she just told me that I had like the best engagement during this time, even though I had tried for like years and years before to create some type of community online.
That's awesome. Yay. Round of applause. Yeah. And sometimes our clients won't tell us, right? It's because if we're not working with them anymore. And then we happen to see it. That actually happened to me this week. I saw a former client post that his book was now in the bookstore that he had written a pitch for, and I had written it with him.
Yeah.
So
I love it.
I was like, oh my God, it happened.
Yes.
So it's those moments, because what we're doing are you and I and all the other people, there are not a lot of us, but the other people who do what we do, but there aren't many. We're really doing our best to amplify the voices of authors. And when we're doing that, that's a win for the author, but it's also a win for us.
Yes.
Okay. tell us what projects you have coming up, anything that we can attend or anything like that, anything fun for you that we can.
Yeah, actually, I am next Tuesday having a mini workshop on how to make it easy for your customer or your community to find your book. So I, in my business, have found that not to brag, know so much about publishing. I'm like, I need to tell people, right? And it's, I love teaching and helping people. So I do these mini workshops once a month on like different, topics. And so actually it's next week, and I can send you the link, or I can like post
here's
it.
what I'm going to do, because I have the, hold on a second. So here it, oh no. Somehow it just pasted this in 70 times. Okay, hold on. Yay. I love when things glitch. Okay.
Technology.
Yay. Okay, so this is Steph's website, stephmoonco.com. And I am going to take a stab at it that the information is there for the workshop.
I don't know if it is there yet, because I'm mostly direct.
Because children have no shoes. Yes.
Yeah. But I can leave it in the comments. Find the link and paste it in. So the first one is next Tuesday, and then it's one a month for the rest of the year. That's really fun. I have some like different new offerings, like a Flying Starts call. I'm on Instagram and TikTok, and also here a little bit on LinkedIn. But super excited.
Okay.
To meet you.
And I love the fact that you work on cookbooks too, because I think that is such an underserved niche.
Really?
I personally do. So I know this amazing editor, this amazing book editor, and I bought her cookbook because I read about it in her book on editing.
Gotcha.
And I don't know if she's doing any promotion. I don't think she is, because I think she published it just for her own, not a vanity publication, but because she wanted to share her grandmother's recipes and stuff like that.
Right.
But, when you think of, I'm going back to Bravo here, Teresa Giudice, who had this platform that most people don't. She was able to sell cookbooks in 2 seconds because she already has that built-in platform. So if you really want to sell your book, you really want to market. And that's what the two of us, what we do.
Work on. Because also I think it's, I'm sure your audience knows this, but whether you're self-publishing or going the traditional route, you're really in charge of selling your book. Like a traditional publisher has like a sales team that's helping with, distribution and sales into channels, but like that's different than actually selling directly to a person who's going to walk into a bookstore and pick your book up off the shelf and buy it. That's what you as an author should be doing.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. This was so much fun. It's always fun to chat with you. You're awesome. Yay.
Yay. Thanks for having me. Have a good weekend.
Okay. You as well. Okay, everybody. Start marketing. You heard us. No excuses. Okay. Have a great weekend, everybody.